Chapter 5, Mishnah 5. This Mishnah gives examples of terms mentioned in the previous Mishnah. And what is a facility of those who came up from Babylonia? For example, the Temple Mount, the courtyards of the temple, and the well that is in the middle of the road that goes from Babylonia to Eretz Yisrael. These facilities were set aside to be used by all Jews, and no individual has a private share in them. A mudar may therefore use them. And what is a facility of that town? For example, the market street, the public bathhouse, the synagogue, the ark in the synagogue that holds the Torah scrolls, and the books. These items are owned by all the residents of the town. Thus, if a resident of a town prohibits another person to benefit from him, the mudar is forbidden to use them, since he thereby benefits from the madir's property. There is a way for the madir to permit the mudar's use of a town's public facility. If he gives his share in the facility to a third person, the mudar becomes permitted to use it, since it is no longer owned by the madir. The Mishnah discusses the process of giving away one's share, which will allow such use. And if the madir gives his share away to remove the problem, he gives it to the ruler, i.e., the person responsible for governing the town. Tanaim disagree as to why the ruler is singled out. Rabbi Yehuda says, whether the madir gives his share to the ruler or whether he gives it to an ordinary person, the town's facility becomes permitted to the mudar. What then is the difference between one who gives it to the ruler and one who gives it to an ordinary person? The difference is that the one who gives his share to the ruler does not need to have someone acquire it on the ruler's behalf. That is, there is no need for anyone to perform an act of acquisition, kinyan, with the property in order to acquire it for the ruler. Rather, as soon as the madir records the transaction in a document and signs it, the ruler acquires his share. However, if the madir gives his share to an ordinary person, a document does not suffice. The recipient or someone acting on his behalf must perform an act of acquisition. A dissenting view. But the sages say, both this one, who gives his share to the ruler, and that one, who gives it to an ordinary person, must have someone acquire it, that is, perform an act of acquisition with the property. Thus, there is no practical difference between the ruler and an ordinary person. The ruler was mentioned only because it was the common practice to use the ruler for this purpose. The Mishnah cites a situation in which there is no need to give away one's share to the ruler or anyone else. Rabbi Yehuda says the people of the Galilee do not need to give away their shares in their town's facilities because their forefathers already gave their shares away for them. The residents of the Galilee were quarrelsome and frequently made Nedarim against one another. Realizing this, the Galileans of earlier generations gave all their shares in their town's facilities to the ruler of the town, so that it would become impossible for any resident to prohibit the use of the facilities to other people.